Hello and welcome to Profiles in Risk. This is your host, Tony Cañas, and today I have with me Daniel Fogarty, founder and CEO at Evari. Daniel, how's it going today?
Great, Tony. How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic, and we're recording on December 12th for me, which, according to my quick calculation, is like December 19th in Australia, since you guys it's 5 p.m. for me. I think you said it's like 9 a.m. tomorrow for you.
Yeah, 9 a.m. So,
Okay,
a very convenient time.
So you're in the future, which should for a technology company be an advantage.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's true. That's
or
good.
just make logistics really hard for everything you do, including like half your meetings. So it was great meeting you at InsurTech Connect in Las Vegas. And as we were chatting just before we started recording, we're talking about how you've got extensive travel coming up for the rest of the year. So we'll definitely talk about which conferences you'll be at this year. So what is Evari?
Yeah, great. Tony, my background, I'm an insurance guy. I was the CEO for Zurich Insurance for Australia and New Zealand. So I sort of come from the carrier side of the industry. And the big thing we're doing at Evari is we're providing a flexible solution for the next generation of insurance offerings. So we are at Evari, we offer the complete end-to-end insurance process in the cloud, and we do that differently than other people. We are doing what many other people are doing, which is we're a no-code platform, and we say we're no-code, low-code, and have a pro-code extension. Because some people we know in insurance have some particular peculiarities they definitely want to program in. So we get the benefit of no code, where that can be developed by product managers, in insurance providers, and through to pro code, where we can do some more complicated stuff. And the other thing that's different about what we do is our system is fully built on as being event native. So we use event streaming at the core of what we do in our technology. And what does that mean from an insurance point of view? It means that there is great flexibility, and you could use lots of data. And we know in insurance, data is the gold that really makes us more efficient. If we can use that data in motion more efficiently, then that's a great thing. So, yeah, bit of a summary there.
Okay, okay, so system for end-to-end insurance. So policy management, claims, billing, and out of the hundreds of insurtechs I've had on the podcast, I think I might have recorded close to 400. We've had 380 some go live, almost 390. I don't think anybody else has said event native. So and by the way, I do have a tech background. I started my degree in computer science. I ended up graduating in management information systems. I've never worked in IT, and I've never heard of event native. So I'm definitely curious as to what that is and how it's an advantage.
Yeah, great. So you would have heard of event streaming. So a lot of people have heard of Kafka and Confluent. So the basis of event streaming started a few decades ago, but it was really LinkedIn that made event streaming more popular. So LinkedIn used event streaming right the way across its technology. And then what came out of LinkedIn was they open sourced the technology to do event streaming, which the open source technology is called Kafka.
Okay.
And then out of a number of the people from the LinkedIn tech side and elsewhere, Confluent, the company, emerged, and Confluent puts event streams into organizations. So over 100,000 organizations around the world have a Confluent event stream in them. You know, it's so the top 10 insurers all have an event stream somewhere in their organization. But generally what people use event streaming for is to connect systems. So event streaming is about real-time data and data connects systems in a, and it's sort of like a flow of data that can connect with different systems. So we've taken that technology the step further, because what happens on this event stream, so there's a number of different tech names, and you're used to the tech names. So an event stream is how the data is transferred between systems. Kafka is an event stream. Usually what happens is the applications listen to that event stream, and when the application hears data that it needs to act on, it then acts. But then what happens is that application is usually still built on a very traditional basis. And a traditional basis means that the system is built for one purpose and then has its own data schema, and that data gets caught in that. Whereas what event native means is both you have the event stream and the application is event native. So what it's doing is it's listening to the event stream, it's processing that data, then it's putting that data back on the event stream for the next application to use. Does that, and maybe the best way to describe this is from an insurance perspective. So we think about from an insurance perspective a quote, for example. So a customer goes in and puts starts their quote. An event is really just a fancy name for data. So they start the quote, which is an event. The rest of the systems are going, right, okay, someone's doing a quote. I don't actually have to start off just yet. They put their name in and their address, and then the first application that may kick in might be go and get more data on that address. So the first application goes and gets more data on that address, and then the next system is waiting for all that data to be there, and that could be the underwriting part, which goes, right, now I have all the data, I have all the excess data. Now we can decide, do we want to underwrite this customer? Is that a yes or a no? If it's a yes, maybe with criteria, put that back on the event stream. The next thing that happens is pricing. If underwriting said no, pricing doesn't need to kick in. If underwriting says yes, pricing then kicks in, and that then leads to a quote. And all that data is available everywhere. So it means that if a customer changes their data, you could be updating your CRM systems at the same time, and that data is all in motion, available to be used in multiple places. And you get two advantages, which is obviously the event stream, but then also the applications being event native means that they're smaller, they process more quickly, and they put the data back on the event stream so everyone else can use it.
Okay. So, given that
have you been involved in any of that sort of event streaming discussion before, Tony?
I don't believe so. So this has been very, very instructive. It definitely. What I was thinking is, I'm so glad that I have this. That you're a former CEO, not a former CTO or a current CTO.
Yeah, that's right.
Right, you're able to bring it down to non-technical terms, which is super helpful. So glad that I have the right person on the podcast. So it sounds to me that like it would be hard to replace just part of our for an existing carrier, to replace just part of our system with this type of system. Am I incorrect in that?
No. Actually, it is exactly the reverse.
Okay.
And the reason for that is because once you put an event stream in, so we have an Evari event stream that we put in, and once you have the event stream, you can have a connector to old applications, so that old applications can still operate on the event stream. So we have one customer that still wanted to use their pricing engine. They've got so much intellectual property in their pricing engine that they said, we still want to use our pricing engine. We want other things to be modernized. So what we've done is we've put a connector to the event stream to the pricing engine. During a quote process, I mean, and all this data moves in motion. It moves very quickly. It moves in milliseconds. And in their process, we call their pricing engine 3 times during the quote process. So it's still going into the old pricing engine. And the advantage of this technology means that you can replace things on a piecemeal basis. So you can go in and say, look, what is the thing that's going to give you the most value to change first? And for every company that will be different. Some it will actually be their pricing engine they want to change first because they're losing share, because they're not bringing data to the equation. For some people, it will be the front end because the customer or the broker experience is not where it needs to be. For some, it will be, how do I easily add extra clauses into the policy so that I can have reactive clauses so that if a customer wants a certain thing, then we can put a new clause in. The underwriter says, I need another clause, or I need another addition to the price. So the great advantage of this system is that you can replace you can replace it on a piecemeal basis. And we know that a core policy administration system change can end up being a huge project that costs tens and maybe hundreds of millions of dollars. You no longer need to do that because you can replace things piecemeal. You can get the financial outcome you need as quickly as you can, and then you can replace the other things over time, which means that from an executive point of view, and again, being a business manager, you want to get the results quickly. You want to show that the project's working. You can do all that with this. So it's not a big bang approach. It's actually very much the opposite.
Hey, and you've been doing Evari for 2 years. Is the company from around the time that you're the founder. So 2 years with Evari. So in 2 years, how long did it take to kind of get it to the point where you could start actually onboarding customers?
Yeah, look, so we have actually been going a little bit longer than that. So we started our life as an MGA. So our first approach into the world of insurance was that. Well, obviously, as I said, I've got an insurance background. My two co-founders and I.
My apologies. I was looking at InsurTech Australia. It's been 2 years.
That's right.
6 years. Okay, almost 7. Okay,
2 years on the board of InsurTech Australia. That's right. But we started Evari as Evari Insure. So as an MGA, as a Lloyd's cover holder in Australia, servicing small businesses, because we saw a huge opportunity, and I'd seen this in my days at Zurich, where so many small businesses have the wrong insurance. And what we did with our first product, we linked into cloud accounting. So we linked into QuickBooks and the Australian version, which is MYOB, and we're able to take data from clients' cloud accounting and change their insurance as their business changed, so that they could be insured all the time. And we built all that technology ourselves, and that's how we started the company. So we then as we work with Lloyd's syndicates, they looked at our technology and said, "Oh, can we license your technology?" And then we realized, there's probably a good opportunity here to be a SaaS business rather than a direct insurance business. And our first use of our SaaS business was in the US. So in the E&S market, doing 4 West Coast states for earthquake, landslide, and flood insurance for an insurer of Chicago. And then we built that in a traditional way. So it was a no-code, low-code platform, but built in a traditional way without event streaming. And then we realized that as we got bigger, that it's so important to have event streaming. So we got a new architect who joined us about 3.5 years ago. He'd been working with event streaming all of his career, implemented in some major companies in the UK. And then we redeveloped our technologies as event native. And we came out with that in mid 2023. So we already had a number of customers who we had to upgrade from previous technology to this technology. And in mid 2022 is when we launched all that. And you saw us at ITC because we're going, right, we're now ready to market this as hard as we can because it's great technology.
Okay, so now the technology is built, the 2023 goal is actually scaling to as many clients as possible, basically.
That's right. That's our aim. Now we've got the technology. It's about how do we scale this as quickly as we can. Look, as every insurtech would be wanting to do, scaling up is the most important thing.
So you said you have a lot of travel coming up in 2023 already scheduled. So where can the listeners find you? What conferences are you definitely going to be at?
Yeah, look, so we're happy to get your recommendation on which ones are the best ones to be as well. So, look, starting my year at the end of January with an event run by InsurTech New York and InsurTech Hartford. And that one's in Colorado. So that's it's called InsurTech Slopes, which is good. That's mainly about investors in insurtechs. I went to that event in 2022, and I found it to be a great event. And then we've got so in February in Australia we've got an InsurTech conference on the 15th of February in Sydney. Is the Australian InsurTech conference, and then we're definitely locked into. We're definitely going to lock into the ITC together with the digital insurance agenda. So we went to DIA in Munich in September this year. So we're going to go to Barcelona and then probably again to Munich. And of the US conferences, where there's so many good conferences on, we hope to be at ones from InsurTech New York, InsurTech Hartford. And then really, Tony, what are the best conferences beyond that? We're getting different advice as to which ones we should be at. So Insurance Innovators in Nashville, is that a good one?
I haven't been to it yet.
Yeah.
I did both InsurTech Insights and InsurTech Hartford. I found them both to be very good. And of course, InsurTech Connect. I think those are the three that I've had that have seemed the best that I've been to. I think it's important to point out the InsurTech Slopes one. Is a private event. You have to be either a founder or an investor. I attempted to sign up, and Stacy very friendly told me that since I'm not a founder, no. But it's literally like conference and skiing. So it's not just a conference. It's literally like a ski trip with the InsurTech founder. So definitely that would be a blast for sure.
Well, and the interesting thing for us is, coming from Australia, that's not something that we do. Is business ski trips. But I found it to be, and if other founders are listening, I found it to be a great event, because what happens is you go up on a ski lift with with 2 or 3 or 4 other people. You've got to have your pitch, like everyone's interested. So this is an environment where the insurtechs want to know what the other insurtechs are doing, the investors want to know, so it's what happens is everyone does their pitch in sort of the first half of the trip, and then you end up the first half of the ski lift, and then you have a great discussion about, well, what are the challenges in the industry. So and then you have a bit of fun on the way down, and then you get up and do the same thing again. So, but there is conferences as well. So there's conferences, and we met some great people at the 2022 one, and that's why I'm keen to head back for the.
Awesome, it makes perfect sense. Tell me about InsurTech Australia. So how long has it been around? What's it like? What led you to get involved?
Yeah, look, so InsurTech Australia started at the same time that I started Evari. And the guy who started it, who led it, Brenton Charnley, and I I was introducing to a number of people in the insurance industry. So because I'd obviously been there, been there before, so I should have turned my Slack off, shouldn't I? That was
it didn't beep on our side or anything. So
that's good, because we've got people working around the world, so there's no matter what time it is, I'm getting messages. So you can, and really the whole purpose of insurtech. I mean, the great thing about the insurance industry in Australia is we have every complication that the world has. We also have every nationality that the world has, and we are a smaller economy, a smaller location, but still an advanced economy that uses technology a lot. And look, when I was running Zurich, I was in Zurich, Australia. I was on a business group of all the other people, all the other companies all the other CEOs who ran Australian-based subsidiaries of global companies. And I remember I spoke at one conference where I was there with two tech providers, and the two tech providers said, "We love testing tech in Australia because it's a bit like the US, it's a bit like the UK, it's a bit like Asia, and if it goes well, then we can take it offshore. And if it doesn't go well, we don't need to take it offshore. We don't need to have the big marketing budget you'd have to launch it in the US." And so to me, there's such a great opportunity for insurance to do the same thing. And really, that's why companies like us think about the whole value chain as well, because our market's smaller, you have to think about the whole value chain, and you also have to think about export very quickly. I mean, we're still a country of 25 million people, but there are 25 million people in the San Francisco Bay Area. So and we're spread right the way across the country. So it's interesting. Some things happened earlier here in the Australian market than had happened elsewhere from an innovation point of view. Things like going direct. I mean, when I lived in California for a year, when I went to business school 20 years ago, and I arrived there going, "Oh, who do I ring for my insurance?" And I got told, no, you go and see an agent. I go and see an agent? I've never seen an agent for my car insurance. So we've been direct in this country for sort of 40 years probably for car insurance, and not doing personal stuff through brokers. Another thing that came from here was risk address pricing, and again, because you think about the different catastrophe challenges here. And so I see that's why I was passionate about setting up InsurTech Australia, is because we should be taking more things from here and taking them offshore. And probably the best known Australian InsurTech would be Cover Genius. So the Cover Genius guys but started their business down under. They're now big across the US, and there's a number of other companies that are doing well elsewhere. So the whole idea about InsurTech Australia is, how do we help the InsurTech start up? How do we work well with our industry here? How do we work well with our colleagues in InsurTech New York, InsurTech Hartford, and InsurTech UK, InsurTech New York, Singapore, etc. So we've set up a conglomerate of all these InsurTechs, and then what we do from down under is we go and visit. We take people on business trips. We help guide them on business trips, and which is why I end up knowing Stacey and other people from different parts of the world. So we can work with other InsurTechs elsewhere.
Fantastic. So such a fantastic background, where former carrier, and now both an InsurTech and an InsurTech association. So very, 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 very cool stuff. Since we're recording in December, any predictions for InsurTech for next year?
Yeah, look, I think it's interesting with the whole challenges in the tech industry and how that impacts InsurTechs. I think there's a couple of things to think about with that. Firstly is that because there have been some layoffs elsewhere in the tech world, there are actually some great people out there who have been in the wrong place at the wrong time, and could be really good additions to our industry. So I would say for InsurTechs, think carefully about whether you need people, because there are some great people out there.
Great time to hire on the tech side, yeah.
Great time to hire, and I'm sure that's your advice anyway, Tony, and you're helping people do that. And as we know with insurance, a lot of people don't think about, you talk to people who are in the insurance industry, so many of them fell into the insurance industry. They didn't think about it as a career, but once they got in there, they were just excited about how challenging it is, which is what I love about the industry. It's all about people, and it's intellectually challenging. So So I think there's from a staffing point of view, there's an opportunity there. I think the tech investment markets are more conservative at the moment, so that's a challenge for insurtechs. From what I've heard from investors, they just want 2022 to end, and then as we get into 2023, it'll sort of like be a new day, and there'll be a lot more stability. And I think, and I do think that's happening. I think there was a bit of a crunch, obviously, in the tech investment in mid 2022, and as we go to 2023, people are looking for good business models. They're looking for models that can create profitability. Look, and I'd say the third thing is really about the insurance industry. It just continues going on. It's an absolutely necessary part of what happens.
Recession proof.
Yeah, that's right. So there will be still some investments. Insurers will still be looking at their cost structure and how can they do things efficiently. But if you can help an insurer, service their customers better, lower their costs, then there is a huge opportunity. And I see so many insurtechs partnering with insurance companies. That's what we do. So in the Australian ecosystem, about 75% of the insurtechs partner with insurance businesses and want to partner with insurance businesses. So I would say for the carriers and the MGAs listening to your podcast, that they should be looking at the insurtechs and going, who can I partner with? How can I make my business better? And how can I beat my competition with great tech?
I agree completely. Daniel, thank you so much for your time. When it goes live, I will tag both you and Evari on LinkedIn, and I look forward to see you guys continue expanding into the rest of the world, and especially here in my backyard in the US.
Right, and if you get down under, then InsurTech Conference 15th of February in Sydney. So hopefully you get down for that. And if not, we'll see you somewhere in the US in 2023.
Okay, thank you. Have a great one.
Right. Thanks, Tony. Bye now.